Hey, welcome back to After the Episode, brought to you by Line Cutters, the adjustable ring that cuts fishing line.
Are we rolling?
Stop messing us up, lady.
Hi. How you doing? How often you come here?
Every Friday.
Every
Friday.
Ooh, what, they serve up coffee and biscuits?
No. Welcome back to After the Episode.
This is the Sheepshead. After the episode for catching sheepshead under bridges and piers. End of winter.
Last fronts are passing through.
It was a front day. It was blowing 25 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well,
Pompano
and because the sheephead are breeding.
Right.
And the sheephead are, and the pompano are running. So.
Right. So everywhere we went, everybody was geared up and catching sheepshead and pompano.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to sheephead fish. We were just general fishing. Mm-hmm. But it ended up turning into that.
Anyway, we went on up to one of our favorite places, Pace, right? And
and it was tore up still. We tried to get them out of the wind. The wind was raging. The water was chocolate milk.
It was. We got some fresh dead from Jim's fish camp.
Yes. I wasn't prepared for sheephead.
We were throwing gulp first.
Had I known we were going to be sheepheading, I would have brought those tiny live bait hooks that you've seen me use, and I'll post them below in the description. Those tiny live bait hooks catch everything, and sheephead have a tiny mouth, so I usually just put one or two split shots.
Have a tiny mouth.
One or two split shots and that tiny sheephead on a 20-30 pound mono leader for some abrasion because of the barnacles and you're fishing around pollens. Mm-hmm. And that's normally what I would have done, but we weren't really prepared for it, so we just had jig heads. And
backwater paddle.
yeah, well, that brings us, we're moving right along. So we got in the water. Teresa was, of course, the first one to hook up. So what were you doing with the backwater paddle out there on those pollens?
Chumming for sheepshead. Once I found out they were there, I figured I would stir up some barnacles off the pilings and get them to come up. Got them moving.
Sheephead actually eat the barnacles off of piers and pollens, and when you do that, it chums them up, gets them worked up. Mm-hmm.
I had to run in and get fiddler crabs too.
Yeah, so we discovered that sheephead was going to be the target, and sheephead love fiddler crabs, and they're inexpensive. So Teresa ran in and got us some. I actually prefer shrimp over fiddler crabs. Sheephead are fanatics about fiddler crabs, but I like the shrimp because the sheephead will eat them. But if there's a drum down there, or a redfish, or a speckled trout, he'll hit the shrimp. All right, so we decided to try to walk the beach for a little bit because we're struggling right now. It was cold. It's just a slow time. Blow up on top water.
And top water and ran out to Fort Pickens.
Fort Pickens, yeah, which is where we're gonna. This is the same spot. If you're curious, this is the same spot where we're gonna be having the 30 miles out camp out.
Yes, we're booked July 21st through the 23rd. Site D020 Loop D, and there were 41 sites available the day that we booked, and I think 5 or 6 or 7 people have already booked sites right next to us.
Anywhere in Fort Pickens campground is fine. You don't have to be on
anywhere
that
in Pensacola, really. I mean,
if they fill up, there is 20 minutes away. There's another state park called Big Lagoon State Park. You could probably get a spot there.
There's hotels all
and
along.
There's Motel 6s and more expensive
Pensacola
stuff
beach,
on the beach.
Right, if you're not into camping.
But if you book now, you can get a spot at Fort Pickens with the rest of us.
They do tents, an RV. They have water, electric, and they have
beautiful
great
bathrooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
That's going to be a fun event.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go camping on our own.
Yeah. So y'all come do the 30 mile out camp out this year in Pensacola at Fort Pickens. Mm-hmm. We're going to fish offshore if it's calm. We're going to fish off the beach. Fort Pickens is like a little peninsula. You've got the pass on one side. On the front side, you've got Gulf, and on the back side, you've got Deep Bay. So, and when I say Deep Bay, I mean we catch red snapper in the bay right there. So, we can go off the beach and troll for kings and Spanish, albacore, and bonita, and possibly sailfish that time of year. You never know what's out there off the beach. And then on the back side, if you can't get out, there's plenty of Spanish mackerel, even some snapper, tons of sharks.
July is a great time of the year.
There's
July
a lot of
is
stuff
really
happening.
laid down over here. So unless a tropical storm comes through,
we're going off the beach.
It should be good enough to go off the beach. We're going for 3 days, so it should.
Maybe tarpon rolling through there that time of year.
I think July is usually a good time of year.
They're all big, a lot of jacks. You just never know.
Might do a little surf fishing too as a group.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
It's great. So you can either
Friday,
walk,
Saturday, Sunday.
go across the street, fish in the Gulf, go behind the camp, cross the street again, and fish in the bay.
Beachgoer.
The rod I showed at the beginning of the beach thing was this right here, and this is the McCain Hot Rod, a 5,000 battle with 20-pound blue camo spider wire. All right, so we went to the beach. I started sneezing because I'm allergic to spring breakers because they mess up all the
This
fishing.
is hilarious. We went down to the beach and cast out, twice?
We went to our spot where you've seen us walk the
Little girl come
beach.
running down there. Little lifeguard girl. Y'all can't fish here. The tourists and the spring breakers come in and you can't fish there
Two
anymore.
lifeguards ran us off of
Yeah.
our spots that you've seen us fish walking the beach.
She told us to move on the other side of the bridge.
We went to the other side of the pier, and
Yeah.
then another guy ran us
You
off.
can't fish here. You got to fish further down. So
The cobia fishermen were out there with their fingers crossed. They're a little early. They were all excited. They've all got, 7 to 8 foot rods, real nice rods with the Van Staal reels and bucktail jigs. They're waiting to see a cobia cruise through, and they sight cast them.
they were
But
waiting
they were all
patiently.
the several that I've talked to saying it's still just a little early.
2 more weeks, that one guy said.
Yeah, that guy said a couple more weeks.
more
One
weeks.
guy said 1 more week. So
I monitor the piers with my with Facebook. I've liked and I follow the Pensacola pier, and I liked and follow the Navarre pier.
yes,
So I know right now in Navarre, they've been catching
There you go.
Spanish every day, and Sheepshead. So I haven't seen anything pulled off the Pensacola pier, but on Navarre, they're catching Spanish.
that's a great point. No matter where you live on the Gulf Coast, if you're thinking about BTB and you want to know what's happening in BTB, all you have to do is look at your local pier. If you live by Galveston, watch the Galveston Pier, 62nd Street, wherever it's called. If you're down in South Texas, watch the Bob Hall Pier. If you're in Navarre, watch the Navarre Pier. If you're in South Florida, watch. And what happens is you've got 50 guys on the ends of those piers that are basically BTB fishing day and night every day. So we walked to the end of the pier, and these young guys were out there dropping. I didn't know what they were using for bait. Did you see?
I think it was shrimp or squid.
Yeah,
One
shrimp.
or the other.
Something, but they were dropping right down
Oh,
the
it's
pilings.
shrimp. It's live shrimp.
Live shrimp.
He got his bucket out.
And they were dropping it right by the pilings. This guy was telling us that the sheephead were
Mating.
mating. They were chasing each other around, and they were pulling them up.
One
Good
after
good
another.
eating size.
Mm-hmm.
That and pompano is about all that was happening. The cobia weren't there. Nobody's
Well,
catching
yeah, when we were
kings.
down on end of March, beginning of April, the Spanish show
Spanish
up.
show up, yeah.
So-
So that's when everything's coming back in. Everybody says, "Why aren't you BTB fishing?" I get these comments all the time. Because it's winter. They're not here. They're gone. They're in the Gulf Stream. The only place you can get to BTB fish, all the pelagics, in the wintertime is extreme South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Which we're
The
going
Gulf
to
Stream
next
passes
week.
right by the beach. It's a hot river. It's warmer, and they're there all year. Everything is 100 miles out in the Gulf Stream until the water temperature gets close to 70 degrees. And then here comes the sharks. Here comes the Spanish, usually the first ones to show up with their backpacks and their suitcases. And then right behind them, the Jack Crevalle and the sharks, and then here come the kings, and then here come everything else.
Yeah.
The tune and the sails.
Okay, honey. Trying to wrap it up. Is that the bridge you go on to get to Mobile? No, that's up in Pace. Ty, I'm considering buying a fish finder. Is it necessary to buy one on a kayak?
Well,
Wrong person to ask.
yes, the wrong person to ask because I fish for a living. I'm having to force myself to get one. It's so big. It's so heavy. It's on the way. If you're a bass fisherman, every bass fisherman has a sonar on their boat, and you have to.
Just about everybody over
They're
here
in deep lakes, and they're finding brush piles and things like that. You got to have it. General saltwater flats fishing, you don't need it at all because it's this deep. What are you going to use a sonar for? General bay fishing, don't need it. General offshore trolling, absolutely don't need it to catch your kings and your cobia and your tarpon and all that. You don't need it because you're trolling. You're just roaming around. You do need it for, in a saltwater situation, is if you're trying to find a specific wreck rock pile that's 1 mile, 2 miles out in the middle of the Gulf.
Okay.
So I will pop one on to find snapper for a couple of specific snapper days. Other than that, 95% of the time, I do not use a sonar.
Devil's Snare 17. Hey Ty, I just moved down to Pensacola from Western Kentucky. All I ever done is bass fish. Any insight on any good bass spots in this area so I can get my fix in? LOL.
Holy smokes, man.
Gonna get around to trying the saltwater once I'm a little more about it and get some more gear.
All right, Devil's Snare 17, check this out. You moved all the way from Kentucky to Florida. You have moved to the saltwater capital of the world and you know how to bass fish. All you need to do is get on these grass flats that are this deep and use every bass technique you know. Throw top water, walk the dog, throw jerk baits, jerk shad, throw stick baits, and you will be blown away at the jack crevalle, the redfish, the big speckled trout, bluefish. They will all go crazy on all your bass tackle, and in my opinion, you're going to have 10 times the amount of fun because no bass runs 20 miles an hour when you hook it with a plug.
Yes.
I'll tell you right away where we caught that big striper. We pulled out some small bass.
Bark.
Carpenter, Milton. Milton in the river.
Yeah.
That's some decent bass fishing up there.
You get on some bass and
you get on striper and hybrids too.
Yeah. I mean,
this is a lot of good questions.
I know, yeah. Asher 439. What bait caster do you use?
I have several. I use a lot of Abu Garcia.
Revo and what?
The Inshore series and the Revo Beast. I love the Revo Beast. Pro Max.
Good job. Awesome. Hey Ty, I see a rod holder on the side parallel with the boat. Where could I get some of those? One guy fishing.
Okay, I just put that together. That's just Yak Attack products. The 4-inch gear track, I put one here. Put another 4-inch gear track up front on the hood of the kayak. And then they make something called a roto grip. And it's got 2 rollers. It's designed to snap a paddle into. Well, I put one roto grip back here and one up there. And I snapped the rod butt into that. And that's kind of how I made a low profile impromptu rod holder. You can also put a shotgun in there. You can put the stock and the barrel for duck hunters. The roto grip holds a lot of stuff, a lot more than just a paddle.
Okay. Why do you have training wheels on your kayak, Ty?
The Revo is a really skinny boat and it's not super easily standable, although I do stand in a Revo without anything. But if I put the Amas on there, I can jump up on that thing and turn 360 and have a more stable boat than a PA-14. So I've got options. That's what those Amas all are about.
First, second, third.
Well, this has been interesting. I'm hyped up today. I don't know why.
Obviously, you're all kinds
But there's a lot of good questions and things I've been thinking about. People have been asking, and I've been really wanting to answer these questions. It's like living with a little. Anyway.
All right. Thanks for watching. I'm serious, man.
Thanks a lot for watching after the episode.
Ty's gonna go get his ass beat real quick.
This has been. We'll see y'all next
You're
week.
such a